In 1850, large number of Irish migrants came to Australia. Many of them would land in Port Fairy, then known as Belfast, and very close to Portland.
The ships arrived in Port Fairy, or was called Belfast, in the 1850s, and most of the Irish people that came off those ships were like peasant farmers and potato farmers, and they basically sort of started a long trek to Sydney, and to do that they had to virtually come diagonally across from Port Fairy through here, through Tower Hill, headed up through the goldfields, etc., onto Sydney, and a lot of the farmers did actually stop off in Koroit, and now 150 years later I think that probably 3/4 of the township are made up of, say, half a dozen of those families, so we do have a very strong Irish heritage within the township.
Ngatama ngatuk malu katanganai, kire warong lilia mereng. Hello, my name is Jamie Thomas, and I am an Aboriginal person descended from this area. Tower Hill is actually a dormant volcano that first erupted about 32,000 years ago, and the last eruption was about 7,000 years ago. Our people were here both at the first eruption and the last eruption, and we still are here. So the volcano itself is a nested maar, which is quite unique as far as geology goes. So, but not only that, it's also got provides us with a lot of natural resources, for example, food and shelter, as well as areas for practicing cultural ceremonies.
My ancestors came to Victoria as bonded labourers to the Churnside family, and grandfather was a shepherd. He had to work for 6 years to pay off his bond, which was paid for his transporting from Scotland to Australia. Their living was from shearing sheep. He used to go back to Koroit every year and shear sheep on the other stations around Skipton. But I am now in tourism in the Port Campbell Caravan Park, which Dad's father had a guest house in Peterborough. So we've gone the full circle in accommodation. And this region here is the second largest volcanic plain in the world, and it's dotted with numerous lakes, dozens and dozens and dozens of lakes. And one particular one near Terang in Inland Town has this special healing properties, and the local people want to try and develop it. The other spiritual place is the Tower Hill, which is a volcano inside a lake, surrounded by a lake. And Aboriginals are controlled now, but that's a very spiritual place, very, very important to their history.
The actual crater or rim itself wasn't purely occupied by one clan or group. The three surrounding clans actually shared the resources and also shared the area for ceremonial practices. In our culture, the land is our mother, and when we see our mother healed and feeling healthy, we as Aboriginal people draw on that spirit of that land, and it makes us feel a lot more peaceful and more healthy inside as well.
Healthy land picks up the spirits of everyone.
It's just a beautiful view here of Eagle Rock, and just a wonderful sea, the ocean just spreading before us, just beautiful, very inspiring, a lovely view. So I just wanted to try and capture some of that essence of the beauty of creation. But this is a very inspiring sight to start with, so I'm looking forward to continuing to do some more.
It leaves you with a lot of questions, and that's one of the main reasons I've come down to the Otways here to ask these questions, because I've needed a place where no one else was speaking to me and no one else was telling me what I should think or should believe. And even a lot of people with a lot of opinions about what God's will is. From terrorist actions to people disappearing off into the mountains, never be seen again, to all sorts of stuff, that people think is God's will. And I'm finding out here that, just being quiet and being still and just listening, I'm finding I'm getting very close to God and a little closer to understanding what He's really about,
Europeans settled around Tower Hills and established the town of Koroit. A Viennese painter, Eugene von Giraud, came to Tower Hill and painted it as an idyllic landscape where the Aboriginal group appeared to live in a later-day paradise. Giraud's painting was quite accurate in detailing the flora and fauna of Tower Hills.
We used to have four barbers here one time.
Yeah.
Louis and two chairs and
All the sale yards.
two sale yards and the sheep yards just over here.
Many pubs in Sale Yard used to be out here.
Four pubs.
Four pubs.
Size of an Australian town can be determined by many factors. One of them is the number of pubs, number of takeaway shops, number of petrol stations, whether it has a swimming pool, and the most important, the number of barbers that the town has. Rich, healthy and happy land, especially around Tower Hills, offered plenty to the newcomers. The new migrants brought their own spirituality, their own gods and their own rituals. They also prospered because the land was healthy and welcoming them.
We got the Infant Jesus Catholic Church
Yeah.
and the Scots Church is Presbyterian, isn't it?
Yeah.
You're telling the story.
And there used to be a few.
English church?
The Church of English, I think they might be closed now though.
No, it's
Still
Still
going?
happens.
still going.
Still going?
Yeah.
3 churches.
Three. Church of England,
Presbyterian.
Presbyterian and the Catholic. We would have had 12 nuns up here or more. And we had Crossley down the road. There used to be 3 nuns down there. There used to be 3 nuns down at Southern Cross, Illawarra they call it. There used to be 2 nuns out of Kirkstall. And they used to have a bus take them all around. And they all lived up teaching. Yeah, they all lived up to the convent. Oh, we had a heap of nuns up here one time. Let's see, the nuns, not many people went away. Like years ago, a lot of young ladies went away to be nuns, and now it's sort of not very few go away. And
Like a nuns.
Aboriginals were living happily on their land, but not for long. Soon the land started becoming degraded.
After 6 years, they came down here onto the coast and selected a block of land in the bush and commenced to clear it with their bare hands. He became a farmer. He's a farmer all his life. He's tired. My brothers are now farming the same property.
Politically powerless, economically deprived, Aboriginal inhabitants of the land saw degradation of Mother Earth with disgust.
Obviously, with European occupation of the land over a period of time, the hillscapes and the landscapes around here were virtually denuded of all the vegetation for farming and freehold running of cattle.
Before it, cattle were drove through the main street to the sale yards there and sale yards across the road. They're all gone. Never forget once bringing up the cattle through the street and Hill got in to Reggie Bar's store, in the door and out through the window.
So I heard him cattle up the street.
Yeah, we heard him know.
And he'd seen his face in the window, and he rushed straight through the window. No, that's gospel.
Yeah, that's true. Before 46, I drove cattle on the bottom of the lake and round them up for the bloke that rented it on a Thursday for the sale yards. And then in 46, we had the 46 floods in this district, and that was the end of all that then. It used to be clover and grass up by the heights of the Shetland pony.
Old residents of Koroit remember the prosperity that existed as recent as 50 years ago. The number of pubs is down from 4 to 2. The number of barbers is down from 4 to 1. The local convent has closed down and the number of people going to the church has declined.
I'm not a church goer.
You're not
I gotta go to the hotel.
Goes to the church?
Oh, yeah. Not regular, but I pop along.
Don't tell lies now.
Christmas and Easter.
Christmas and Easter.
Weddings and Christmas.
Funerals and weddings. Funerals and weddings.
I got a sister and aunt myself. She probably would have been the last one that ever went away from this district.
The process of that spirituality being closed down was because it wasn't being conducted appropriately, or the permission wasn't being asked at the time. So that spirituality isn't as strong as, say, Aboriginal spirituality or connectedness that's gone through a revitalisation process or program, because we do the right thing and we ask permission from the land to continue practicing our ceremonies here.
And obviously I have a very strong faith in God, a strong faith in Jesus. But at the last church I was involved with had a few problems. A certain person, a senior minister, had a few issues. What's termed commonly in the church as a moral fall, which is basically he nicked off with another young girl and left his wife. And there was financial problems and all this sort of business that went on as well. And so when you've given so much of your time and yourself to a church and a particular leader for a certain amount of time, for a long period of time, and then suddenly you realise that a lot of what was being said was not necessarily wrong, but was hypocritical.
10 years after painter Gerard had painted the paradise of Tower Hill, it became denuded of trees due to European practices of farming. A novelist, Henry Handel Richardson, described the town in one of her novels as mean and ugly with a few mengy shops, or the countryside, which she referred to as flat and treeless. By 1950, it was bare, flat and topless. In 1961, it was declared as a state game reserve and its fortunes turned around. Painting made by Viennese artist Eugene von Giraud was used as the basis of revegetation program.
It wasn't until 1960, 1961 that people started to want to replant the place out. So in a period of 45 years we have, as you will see around us, we'll actually have we've had trees just grow back, and to us as people now, it has become a more of an important factor as opposed to just everyday lifestyle. As the traditional people, the old people who used to live here, it has become a spiritual place to visit because of the vegetation being re-established, as well as the animals that come back. In our culture, the land is our mother, and when we see our mother healed and feeling healthy, we as Aboriginal people draw on that spirit of that land, and it makes us feel a lot more peaceful and more healthy inside.
Tower Hills and the town of Koroit both are on their way to recovery. There's a contrast between the recovery of the two. Koroit has a pub trail going through it. This is what the locals in a pub expect from incoming tourists.
What's that? Hope he drinks.
Of course.
It's probably the most unchanged area left in Victoria. It's because I suppose it's had such a small impact from a small group of people that you've just got the old style small type farm holdings here. The people themselves, because they've tended to stay put, there's still a lot more of a true Irish flavour within the community. And again, like Tower Hill, they've done a great job. I came from Melbourne, and if I had visitors to Melbourne, they said, "Oh, can I go and see a koala or a kangaroo or something?" The only chance I had of showing them was in the zoo. But you come out here at dusk or dawn to Tower Hill, and there's animals everywhere. And it's just, I think.
And if you visit Aboriginals in the Tower Hills, this is what you can expect.
One of the things that we can do for people is that we do have people coming through here already on spiritual journeys across Australia, and we can provide them with the knowledge in the fact that they are having a safe passage through our country, through our area here, and that we can give them some history and background as to who we are as Aboriginal people, because people do like to pay respects to the Aboriginal people of the area, so we give them that opportunity to do that, as well as depending on what level of spiritual experience they want. That might be enough for some people. Some people might wish to be smoked as a way of connecting with this land as they travel through, and some people like to just talk with elders from here as well about the general history of the Aboriginal people here. We have had lots of people actually asking us to take our culture and ceremonies into other places, like when we have, say, Buddhists come through, they like to have Aboriginal people acknowledge their existence here. People in churches for different denominations like to have Aboriginal people come and conduct ceremonies in their churches as a way of being respectful of that we still exist and we still practice our culture. So yeah, that's a good thing. We had people come through, a group of young kids who have lost people or family members through terminal illnesses, that we've brought them here and we conducted some Aboriginal ceremonies for them to help them alleviate their pain, and they seem to embrace that quite well, and the way things are explained. Those are the sort of things that we can do for people if they plan ahead and give us enough time.
Aboriginal people have been living in and around Tower Hills as children of Mother Earth. Those who came later tries to master Earth and try to master nature. They failed. Mother Earth retaliated, but now once again it's ready to give its bounty to everyone who comes to rest on it, now that it knows that its children are permitted to conduct their ceremonies on its land.
Walking Narigari, Pakano, Motono. Narigari. Rui. Narigari, Pakano, Motono. Nankawana. Narigari, Pakano, Motono. Bonnie Gibson.